Hey guys, guess who? It's Barry again with Barry's A-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair. In this video, we're going to be demonstrating a full Delco system conversion, and I'll just give you a brief explanation of that. When you have your radio converted for maximum output, that means it has to run into a fully isolated speaker system with no grounded wires in the speaker system, which in turn, of course, means that in most cases the customer needs to do some speaker wiring and upgrade his speakers. Well, once that's done, the original 8-track player will no longer work with that system because the 8-track player is designed to work into a common ground speaker system. So in order for the 8-track to work with a converted radio, the 8-track needs to be converted as well. The way that I convert an 8-track, the way most shops would do it is just to add a line output and leave everything else in place. I don't believe in that. For one thing, it's not the best sounding alternative. For another thing, it just leaves a bunch of old junk in there that's not going to be used because you don't need the output section anymore if all you're using is a line output. But that output section is still generating a lot of heat. It's still, using electricity. It's still heating up everything else in the unit. So if you're not going to need the output section anymore, then it's going to come out. There's no reason to leave that old junk in there that can only cause problems. So let's go ahead and turn the radio on, make sure everything works before we send her back. I got it set to FM at the moment. And the first thing we'll do is make sure all the presets can be set, and I have them all preset to stations in my area.
It's not about.
Okay, now this leftmost button forces the radio into AM mode, and that's the AM station that I am getting.
If we were a systemically
there we go.
Society,
so while we're on the AM, let's make sure we can pick up our two weak stations at the.
Enjoy the drive.
There's the one. Okay, and that's our third AM station, so we'll go back to FM. Probably not too worried about the AM. And now I'm just going to run down the dial, make sure we pick up a bunch of FM stations.
If you're ready and you want to give God of pardon and love.
Lord, download at DuckDuckGo.
The free people who can. You have.
It's a backyard camp.
It has been my passion and pleasure to give people.
Hey man, I'm happy to be with my.
Destiny's Child versus.
Hang up.
Love the.
Okay, that's pretty typical. About 31, 32 FM stations. So we'll move back to one that's. Yeah, this one's not gonna. They're not gonna nail me for copyright. Now I'm gonna demonstrate the virtual balance and fader functions. Needless to say, a mono radio doesn't have a balance control. Some of them have a fader control, but they generally no longer work. So now the tone control is used for both the left-right balance and the front-rear fader functions. I'm gonna demonstrate that right now. I'm gonna activate the front-rear fader by giving the tone control 2 turns to the right.
Killed by white man and
Fader adjust.
Okay, fader adjust. So now let's bring our level meters in the picture. Now this same control is adjusting our left, our front, rear speaker balance. All the way front, all the way rear, front, rear. Okay, I'm going to center them. Stop adjusting it, and after about 2 fader set. Okay, now let's adjust the left-right balance. Same procedure, except we turn the tone control twice to the left to activate the function.
Doing the same exact thing.
Balance adjust.
Okay, balance adjust. So now this control is adjusting our left-right balance.
Living color. You're seeing what they are doing.
Okay, so I'm going to center them. Take my hand out the control and
a friend of mine.
Balance set.
Balance set. That takes care of that. Okay, let's make sure we can activate the pairing function on the Bluetooth. I'm just going to give the volume control 2 turns to the right. Make sure it goes into pairing mode.
That can't fit anybody.
Okay, it didn't activate that time. We'll try it again. It is a little touchy sometimes.
You get to the root of the problem type of person. I don't
Bluetooth
There we go.
ready to pair.
Okay, so now the unit is trying to pair with a portable audio device, which, as you guys know by now, I don't do all that stuff on the demo videos. As long as it'll go into pairing mode, I know the Bluetooth function is working. So we'll move on to the rest of the test. Let's go ahead and test our aux input,
He's right. They're getting right.
which now is in the 8-track because the 8-track takes up the aux input on the radio. So we have to give the customer an aux input on the 8-track, make sure it switches over and gives us a tone. There's one side. There's the other side. So now there's going to be a 20-second delay after using the aux input. Now this won't be the case when using the 8-track. It's only when using the aux input, and that's just to prevent it from constantly switching back and forth between songs and stuff like that from your portable audio device. If you don't like that delay, just turn the unit off, turn it right back on, cancels the delay. But I like to wait for the radio to come back like it just did, just to make sure that function's working. So now we're ready to test the 8-track section. Now before we go into the 8-track, I need to mention something here. These units were never designed for the kind of gain that my replacement head preamp has, and so in order for the 8-track to get as loud as the radio, sometimes it's necessary to really boost the 8-track output much louder than the radio, and that way that the signal overpowers any noise and interference that might occur from these units being in two separate cabinets separated by a couple feet of cable. So I do have a ground jumper between the chassis of the 8-track and the radio to make sure that there's not going to be any grounding problems. And so let's get the radio back on. And on this particular unit, I'm going to turn the radio down before I stick a tape in there. Okay, and now we'll go back to this view. Okay, let's stick this tape in there.
Tell them what he's doing for them.
Like a barrel of monkeys on an abba-dabba honeymoon.
Now you notice it's got a lot of treble.
I go squealing and a
Probably too much. If that's the case, just turn the tone control on the radio down.
well, baby, I'll explode.
Now it sounds more like a regular 8-track. Now why do I design so much treble into my preamp? Okay, I'm going to show you why right now. This is a relatively new tape and it's got plenty of treble. It hasn't got much wear in it. This tape is a little older and it doesn't have quite as much treble. So now you can see. Now it sounds kind of muddy without the added treble. So now we can add that treble. So it's just a matter of adjusting your radio's volume and tone controls to suit the condition of the tape, basically. Okay, so now we'll pull the tape out. Radio should come right back. And the radio came right back. Okay, last thing it tests is the dial light. Make sure that's going to light up. Okay, you can see it. It's flashing on and off in response to my commands. So that concludes the test. Everything's been tested. Volume, tone, balance, fader, presets, 8-track, aux input, Bluetooth activation. So it's all been tested and she's ready to go back. So I'm going to get on out of here and give you guys my usual closing speech. I'm Barry with Barry's 8-track and classic car radio repair, and you've just seen what I can do to your original equipment that's ancient and probably not working quite so well anymore. My website is in the description below. My phone number is 928-533-9666 should you need service. Do not call that number looking for a belt, a part, or how to hook up that $5 yard sale find. This is a repair shop, not a part supply house or a source of free advice for the world. I am a human being and I need my rest when I'm off work. So that means I won't be answering questions about how to fix your unit when I'm watching a hockey game. Thanks so much for watching and listening, guys. We'll see you next time.